Change is a natural part of human development that has helped propel humanity into its present situation. Change happens for both the benefit of human development, but also for its deterioration. As seen in Britain's Industrial Revolution, the change from a predominant agrarian society to a factory-based way of life brought great triumphs, but also many challenges. The improvements in transportation, the population explosion, and the introduction of the factory system all made great contributions to the industrial age. But the most pivotal conversion that took place was the creation of new industrial cities that grew throughout the revolution. The Industrial Revolution took place during the 18th and 19th centuries. It began in Britain in the late 1700s because of their countless deposits of coal and iron ore, and also because they had a politically stable society that was generally well off. The Industrial Revolution marked the change of production forever. Before the Revolution, goods were made in individuals' homes with simple tools and basic machines. With the help of the Industrial Revolution, production changed from the small scale to a large scale mass production system that used special machines and factories. The Industrial Revolution, though faced with obstacles, was able to improve systems of transportation, communication, and banking. It also brought a variety of manufactured goods to the masses, which enhanced the standard of living for some. The Industrial Revolution proved to be a successful reform that has since helped us continue to adjust and adapt to the ever-growing and altering world. Before the start of the Industrial Revolution, people usually lived in small, isolated towns or on their own farms. During the Revolution, those towns began to blossom into busy cities that had their population doubling at rapid rates. The reason these small towns developed into bustling cities is due to urbanization, which is the movement of people to cities. With the changes in farming, the boom in population, and the increased need of workers for factories that were starting to develop in cities, crowds of people began flocking from their farms or small towns to the big metropolises for their chance to experience what the new city life was like. The industrial cities were centered mostly around areas that had a coal or iron ore mine nearby. They also sprang up due to factories that were built by entrepreneurs in a once dormant market town. The Industrial Revolution also caused cities to grow because individuals were marrying at a younger age and there were less people not being married. This led to a greater opportunity for children to be born. Those cities were often bursting with diseases which claimed many lives. People actually experienced a slight fall in death rates that occurred due to overall better health improvements and a healthier diet as the revolution progressed. This, coupled with the rise in birth rates, caused industrial cities' populations to flourish. Life in industrial cities had two different styles. For one type of people, life was difficult and had many obstacles. For another type, life was prosperous and people had a rather luxurious life. For the working class individuals of a city during the Revolution, they had a rather tough life. Besides having to live near the noisy steam engines and the horrible smelling rivers and waste areas, working class individuals were forced to live in tenements. These were extremely crowded apartments that didn't have running water or a sewage system. For most of these tenements, waste and garbage was tossed out onto the streets where it was eventually collected. but not before it had helped with the spread of multiple diseases. In addition to the constant threat of sickness and death from a disease such as cholera, tuberculosis, typhus, typhoid, and influenza, working-class individuals had to focus their lives mainly on their work. Besides having rarely any time to engage in recreational activities, working-class citizens had to work rigid schedules that were exhausting and sometimes even a danger to their health. In contrast to the rather poor conditions in which working-class individuals lived in during the Industrial Revolution, the newly emerged middle class experienced a rather lavish lifestyle. Middle-class individuals were comprised of entrepreneurs, investors, inventors, and skilled artisans who were able to go from rags to riches. Middle-class families were able to live in well-furnished homes in which they were able to dress and eat well. Men of the middle class were sometimes even able to gain influence in Parliament, while women were able to be just that, women. They engaged in ladylike activities with others and hired maids to clean their homes. Many middle-class individuals believed that people of the poor working class were lazy, which resulted in their meager living conditions. Though faced with far more challenges than opportunities in an industrial city, working-class individuals at least didn't have to travel very far to get to the factory in which they worked. Working-class families also were able to receive some of the benefits in which they produced, such as a variety of goods and foods they made in their respective factories. Overall, the working-class people of the Industrial Revolution faced a hard life that didn't benefit them in many ways. When they tried protest to help better their lives, it was more often than not suppressed with violent force. Eventually, as the revolution went on, working-class citizens saw some much-needed improvements that would help make their lives easier in some aspects. For the middle class, cities brought opportunities. In cities, inventors could spread their ideas, which would then go on to help them be able to produce some of their most useful products. For entrepreneurs and investors, the cities provided them with factories and other places of business in which they could invest and take over, resulting in a quality source of income. The Industrial Revolution proved to be a time of opportunity and conversion for members of the middle class. Britain's Industrial Revolution was the start